So I really like this philosophy where, when you're making wine, you are an artist, make the best wine. And when you are selling wine, you are in business. So, talk about the business side of the wine, like how it's going to bring benefits or value, or how your customer is going to make more money and things of that nature, how you're going to help them resell.
So tell me, Sid, you've been in the industry for over 16 years, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of things going around. So tell us a little bit about how to build your sales process, or maybe you could even tell us how you did it when you had your wine brand.
Sure. So, I mean, as you know, we are one of the leading platforms and we do a lot of events and competitions around the world. And, I see almost every week 1,000 suppliers who are trying to grow their sales and distribution and, who need help. One of the core fundamentals which I really think people miss, especially the small and medium-sized wineries, is they don't understand that they are in the sales business. They still think they are in the wine making business or an art business. So, I really changed my mindset when I had to build my brand. So I had my own brands. I had 10 private labels. I built it to 100,000 cases in about 4 years. So that's a pretty significant growth. It was a national distribution, for most of my brands. I also had a wholesale business. So here's what I learned, right? The number one fact is you need to understand that you are in sales business. So that mindset, you have to pass it on to your, export managers, to your sales reps, to your brand ambassadors, because the language that they're going to talk more is going to be business language. So I really like this philosophy where, when you're making wine, you are an artist, make the best wine. And when you are selling wine, you are in business. So, talk about the business side of the wine, like how it's going to bring benefits or value, or how your customer is going to make more money and things of that nature, how you're going to help them resell. So coming back to your question, the first step is to have a disciplined sales process. Now, how to go about this, right? So what I would do is, if my goal is to open up 4 states, 4 distributors, let's say in next 4 months, I will just reverse engineer the whole metric. So when in wine business, especially, when you want to close 4 deals, let's say you're looking for 4 purchase orders, 4 different states, New Jersey, Delaware, New York, and let's say Rhode Island, you need to send about 40 samples. Okay. So I used to do times X, and this is by experience. I mean, usually you guys would know that, when you send 10 samples, you will close 1 deal, so obviously you're going to send it to the qualified professionals. So the first step is to build your sales process, and the sales process includes this 6 things. Number 1 is preparation. Number 2 is prospecting. Number 3 is the approach. Number 4 is negotiation. Number 5 is the launch. And number 6 is the support. Wine, like any other business, needs to be sold. All right. So let me break it down now. Preparation. What do I mean by that? Are you really ready, and are you prepared? Do you have the toolkit ready? Are you sales ready? Are you distribution ready? Do you have your case cards? Do you have your shelf toppers? Do you have brochures? Are your cartons branded? Do you have the latest vintage for samples? Do you have your target list, who you want to meet? Do you have that distributors qualified? Do you have the contracts in place if they say yes? Do you have that credit application ready if they say yes? Do you have a launch plan to show them? Do you have sales sheets? So keep all your materials ready. Let's put this all in a sales folder. Let's call it, a toolkit. The number 2 is prospecting. Okay, this is very important. Like, this is where you have to really think about like a business. What are your funnels of prospecting? How are you nurturing them? Do you have trade shows that you focus on to build your leads? Do you have email marketing? Every day, are you sending 20 emails to 20 different distributors? Are you playing the LinkedIn DM game? Are you cold calling 20 people? Are you using referrals? Do you have an inbound strategy on your website where you have a little text saying, we are now looking to expand into other states. If you are a retailer or a distributor, here's an interest form and we will be getting back to you. So build your inbound pipeline. Okay. So when you want to send 40 samples in 4 months, you usually need about at least 400, back and forth emails. So again, let me break it down. So for example, when you send 200 emails or phone calls a month, that's a target that you need to set. That will boil down to 20 people who are interested, and that will boil down to 2 people who you will end up sending the samples. So that's how you need to break down your targets. That's how you need to tell your export managers or your salespeople that, okay, 4 hours, you need to do this 50 a day. You need to build 50 prospects a week. You need to send 5 samples a week. You need to close 1 deal from that 5 samples. So you need to build your pipeline.
Great. So let's get a little back to the prospecting part of things. When you launched your brand and when you were building your sales process, you mentioned LinkedIn, you mentioned getting in touch with distributors and importers. What is the first thing that you did?
So, everything, to be honest. As I said, you have to build your pipelines from all angles. Trade shows may be something where people may not be able to afford, but trade shows are also good to build your leads, right? But if you don't have the budget of a trade show, then you just purely do cold calling, phone calls and emails. That still works. Literally, I used to send 20 emails a day, and I still send. For all our businesses, nothing beats that disciplined 20 email a day approach, where you draft your email, hey, we're looking for distribution, and you keep it precise. And we're going to dive into some examples of a good email as well in the second episode. So the idea is to do everything and then double down on what's working. And these are just 5 things that I just mentioned. Like, again, phone, referrals, trade shows, email, and inbound. Use your website, right? So these are enough. To build your 10 a day sort of pipeline. The number 3 is the approach. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road in the sales process. This is where most of the wineries get it wrong. Don't send your attachments of your brochures and whatnot. Your approach to your distributor and importer is super important. That's where they need to understand that you understand their business. The template of your first email, the template of your follow-up email, the spiel of your the phone call, the tone of your email, samples, how are you sending the samples, what is included and what is not included in the samples. So that is called the approach. You need to really sharpen your approach. Then comes negotiation, right? This is where, let's say they are interested, now coming to an agreement. This means like the margins, the programming, the motivations of your importer, try to find that out, protecting yourself, the agreements, and so on. This is where you really think long-term. Like, you have to think beyond the first 1,000 cases. Then comes the number 5th point, the launch. The launch is super important. So when I do a product launch or a brand launch in a market, let's say distributor said yes, and then you send your first purchase order, a pallet. The objective of the launch is to deplete. You want to do that market visit. You want to make sure the launch programming is planned in that way that in 30 days, you are depleting everything that you've sent to your distributor. So the launch has to bring the most important the most important part of the sales process is the launch. This is where you build rapport with the retailers. This is where you build rapport with the sales reps of the distributor with just one thing, which is called depletion. Just focus on sell-throughs here. The last bit is support. Now, this is support over here is an ongoing support to your retailer, to your distributor. What's the game plan? Like, how are you building your repeat business here? So it's part of your sales process. How are you touching to your current distributors and retailers? So that's, in a nutshell, our sales process.
So folks, if you're looking to grow your distribution, you need a winning sales process like mentioned. I hope this gives you a starting point to rewrite your sales process. Stay tuned.